I still remember the exact second this moment hit my screen, because my stomach actually dropped. The lights were too bright, the music cut too fast, and for a split second it felt like one of those setups we've all been burned by before. You know the kind. Big smiles, dramatic pauses, judges leaning forward like they've rehearsed it in the mirror. And I know what you're thinking right now because I've been reading through your comments on the last few videos, and I see some of you calling out the drama. Honestly, I get it. In a world full of scripted TV and AI-generated stories, it's hard to know what's real anymore. I felt the same way when I first saw this. I rolled my eyes, I crossed my arms, and I said out loud, "Here we go again." But then I did something I don't usually do at midnight when I'm half asleep. I stopped. I rewound. I watched the raw footage, the extended clips, the interviews that never make it to prime time. And what I found, it didn't just change how I saw this audition. It changed how I see Golden Buzzers forever. Because these weren't just flashy TV moments. These were people standing on a stage that had already chewed up thousands of dreams before them, and somehow, against all odds, it gave them their life back. I'm talking about those Golden Buzzers on Britain's Got Talent that didn't just send someone to the live shows. They pulled someone out of the shadows when they were almost done fighting. The crazy part is how it always starts the same way. The doors open, the audience claps politely, the judges smile politely, and at home, we're all sitting there thinking, okay, impress me. But behind that smile walking onto the stage is usually a story no one warned you about. A story filled with eviction notices, medical bills, rejection emails, and people who stopped answering their calls years ago. And that's where this first Golden Buzzer hit different. When Paul Potts walked onto that stage years ago, he didn't look like a star. He looked like someone who'd been overlooked his entire life. Before the cameras, before the standing ovation, this man had been bullied so badly as a kid that he learned how to disappear in plain sight. He worked phone sales jobs where customers hung up on him mid-sentence. He survived cancer twice, quietly, without headlines or sympathy tweets. So when he opened his mouth and sang, it wasn't just a voice filling the theater. It was years of being told to stay quiet finally exploding. And when the Golden Buzzer slammed down, people didn't just cheer. They cried. You could see strangers grabbing each other like they'd just witnessed something sacred. Social media went feral. TikTok edits flooded in with captions like, "This is why I still believe," while others on X were more cynical, saying, "Great voice, but the show milked the backstory." And here's the thing, both sides were loud. Reddit threads exploded arguing whether the emotion was genuine or engineered. But Paul's life didn't care about the debate. His phone stopped ringing with hang-ups and started ringing with contracts. And just when you think, okay, that's special but lightning doesn't strike twice, this quiet woman walks out that almost no one took seriously. I'm talking about Susan Boyle. And I know, you already know her name, but hear me out. Because what people forget is how cruel the world was to her before that Golden Buzzer energy ever existed. She was mocked within seconds of stepping onto the stage. The audience laughed. The judges smirked. At home, people tweeted things I won't even repeat here. And then she sang. Not perfectly polished, not like a pop star, but with honesty that slapped the room silent. Overnight, she went from being a punchline to a global headline. And yes, the show celebrated her, but the internet turned into a war zone. Half the comments were, "This restored my faith in humanity," while the other half were darker, accusing the show of exploiting her vulnerability. And Susan, she later admitted the pressure nearly crushed her. That golden moment saved her career, but it also exposed her to a level of scrutiny she was never prepared for. Now here's where the story takes a turn most highlight reels skip. Because for every Golden Buzzer we cheer, there's a moment after the confetti falls that no one wants to talk about. The therapy sessions, the panic attacks, the fear of becoming irrelevant again. This is the layer people don't see, and this is where things get real uncomfortable. One of the most life-changing Golden Buzzers came from a performer who had already decided they were done chasing dreams. They showed up not to win, but to prove something to themselves before walking away forever. Their bank account was empty. Their relationships were strained. Their self-worth was hanging by a thread. When that buzzer hit, you could see shock turn into disbelief, then into pure collapse. Not the cute TV cry. I mean the kind of cry where your body gives out because it's been holding too much for too long. And the comments section split instantly. "This is fake," one TikTok comment read. "You can't cry like that unless it's real," another replied. X was brutal. Reddit was dissecting every facial expression frame by frame like it was a courtroom trial. And this is the part where I want to ask you something honestly. When was the last time you saw someone's life change in real time and didn't immediately question it? Because we've been trained to doubt joy, to assume manipulation, to protect ourselves from disappointment. I get it, but sometimes, something actually breaks through. Right in the middle of one of these golden moments, after the audience had lost its mind and the judges were wiping tears, that's when I realized something that made me pause the video. If you've ever felt invisible, if you've ever felt like you were one rejection away from giving up, you understand why people react so strongly to these moments. And if you're someone who watches these stories late at night like I do, maybe to remind yourself that miracles still happen sometimes, you might want to stick around here. Not because I'm chasing numbers, but because this channel exists for the people who feel things deeply. If that sounds like you, you already know what to do with that subscribe button. Now let's talk about the golden buzzer that truly broke the internet in a way no one expected. This performer didn't fit the typical narrative. No tragic childhood package, no dramatic music cue, just raw talent and a story that only came out later. After the show aired, fans discovered old interviews, social posts, even court documents that revealed what they'd been surviving in silence. Abuse, homelessness, depression, and suddenly the golden buzzer wasn't just a TV moment anymore. It became a symbol. TikTok creators stitched the audition with their own stories of survival. X turned it into a debate about mental health support for artists. Reddit users started fundraisers and deep dives, arguing over whether the show did enough to protect contestants after fame hits. But here is the part that truly broke the internet. Months after the applause faded, this performer disappeared. No updates, no tour announcements, no social posts. Fans panicked. Rumors spread. Some said they were dropped by their label. Others claimed burnout. And then, quietly, a statement surfaced explaining they had stepped back to heal. That golden buzzer didn't just change their career. It forced them to finally confront pain they'd been running from their whole life. This is layer 4, and it's the one nobody prepares you for. Because success doesn't erase trauma. It shines a spotlight on it. And then we reach the final layer, the one that stayed with me long after I turned the screen off. The biggest shock wasn't the buzzer. It wasn't the standing ovation. It was what happened years later. Several of these golden buzzer recipients went on to say that the moment saved them from ending their lives. Not metaphorically, literally. They admitted they had plans, dates, goodbye messages written. That audition was their last attempt to be seen. When I read that, sitting alone with my phone glowing in the dark, I had to put it down. Because suddenly, the cynicism didn't matter. The production tricks didn't matter. The internet wars didn't matter. What mattered was that someone walked onto a stage with nothing left and walked off with a reason to keep breathing. So I want to know what you think. Are golden buzzers overused? Sometimes, yeah. Are they manipulated for TV? Probably. But can they still be life-changing? After everything I've seen, I don't think that's even up for debate. Tell me in the comments which golden buzzer hit you the hardest, or if you think the magic is gone. And if you're still here with me at the end of this story, thank you. That tells me you're someone who still believes there's something real hiding beneath all the noise.